go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Where's mommy? Where's mommy? Where's sister? Where's sister? My first car, probably a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle. That would have been the first car I sort of would call my own, yeah. My name's Savas Christou, originally born in Darwin, Northern Territory. Pretty much born and bred, lived there most of my life. Moved to Perth in 2008 and I've been here ever since. If you're talking about the cars that I owned as a young kid, I think the memories I had, a lot of the cars, if they brought a smile to my face, they were, I enjoyed driving them. And I don't know how you get into something, but I think from a very young age, probably my older brother, Chris, because he was sort of into the cars from a young age as well.
Well, look, growing up, I did have a lot of exposure through my father in terms of motor vehicles. He was always a fan of motor cars. My father used to tell us stories of things like when his first car he purchased, I think it was an FJ Holden, and then that's where the car culture sort of came from. And then growing up as children, we enjoyed with friends and that same sort of thing, where we had various older cars which we worked on, some which I worked on with my brother Sava.
Oh look, the Statesman, like I said, it was one of the first cars I did drive, and I used to drive this thing to, actually I used to drive it to school, because why my parents let me drive it to school, I don't know. But yeah, no, the Statesman sort of, I did quite a few things in the Statesman. We did a lot of we did a lot of country driving in it as well. I used to get the friends together and go down to chicken farms and stuff up in the Territory. Out of all the cars that we've owned, and the cars that have been in the family, this is the one car that actually we've kept from brand new. I think it was because it was my father's car, and he bought it brand new, and it's just stayed in the family ever since. The car was last licensed up in the Northern Territory in 1994. And that was when it was actually the renewal had come up, and the funny thing was my brother Con had it at the time. I'd already been through it, I'd already driven it, I'd moved on, got married, and my brother Con was the last one to actually use it. Having said that, the car ended up parked under a mango tree, and I think it sat there for quite a number of years. Then I think a couple of years later he did decide to pick it up from my mum's house, and he started to sort of fix it. What he did is he pulled a couple of lights off it, and basically that was it. And it sat on stands for, must have been, I'd say a good 12, 13 years. It sat in his garage in one spot. It turned into basically a toolbox.
Look at that, it's on. All right, that's it.
And actually it was funny because my brother Chris went back home to Darwin to visit the family. And he said to me, listen, if we don't do something soon, the car's going to end up in the graveyard. So I think we made the decision then and there that, listen, how about we bring it down and we do a tribute build. I mean, we build it up for my father. We thought, okay, let's do something for him. He spent his whole life basically taking care of us kids. So what we could give him and what we were interested in was obviously build his car. I was just looking back through the paperwork actually, because it's actually been 4 years since the car landed here. It was 2013 we shipped it down to Perth, and ever since then it's just been an ongoing build. Dimitri, this is your Bubbles car. This is the car my brother, my sister, my brother.
It was all about the cash. So they actually bought two similar colours, same colours, our station wagon. HZ station wagon, it's the same floor plan, so it's long.
helped me, I've got some photos of you helping me take the aircon out. And I said to you quickly, let's take it out before Uncle Chris sees it. You helping me pull a lot of the aircon and stuff out. The seats are all original, everything's, because it's so hard to find this material, we can't replace it.
And he goes, no, you're doing 160. And I go, really? I didn't go that fast. Unfortunately, I didn't get out of it, so I got the ticket.
I was saying to the guy, listen, this is all I've got. And Chris is like, no, don't worry about it.
Let's give the guy the 500 bucks.
Turn
Come
around
on.
to him and I said, Chris, I'm not coming back. Oh, look, we had a few mishaps with the car. It wasn't all smooth running. We had a few, I mean, you remember the car, always in the garage and spending countless hours in the garage.
Yeah.
But it paid off in the end. The hardest part of the build was the time it took away from me. The time that I spent on the car. I mean, I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't just walk away. I couldn't say, okay, I'm not going to go do the car today. I think it was the time that it took away from me and my family and my kids. Because if anyone sort of knows me, I sort of, once I put my mind onto something, I've got blinkers and everything else around me doesn't mean anything. And I just need to get this done. And if I put my mind to something, I sort of fall in head first. It was a 24-hour thing towards the end. We did this in 2.5 years, and from start to finish. But like I said, we did it for Papu. We've got this thing here that we did. Oh, my father passed away in 2014. He didn't get to see the car finished, which was, I mean, my father was ill, and we knew he was ill, but you never think that your father goes in for a checkup and doesn't come back.
Oh, look, it was hard because I used to have a lot of, there was a lot of things I could always talk to him about, whether it's work or things we did in life. So it was hard losing him at an early age. I think he was fairly young still to go.
I think the saddest thing about the whole ordeal is, yes, we did speak to my father. I did speak to him throughout the build. We had the FaceTime, but I hadn't seen my father for probably over a year before he passed. And the hardest thing for me with that was when we did get the news that he'd fallen into a coma, I never actually got to speak. I never got to speak with him.
So you could always see his excitement through his face when we showed him the car and what we did. So there was always a plan for him to see it once we sort of completed it and him driving it.
You know, ultimately we were building it for him. We were building it and hoping that one day he was going to come down and take it for a drive. And you know, even though he was ill and he wasn't the best of health, even if we drove him around, or it was just something just to maybe relive his younger days. Now, it was difficult. We did stop the build for a bit when he passed away. I think I walked away from it for maybe 3 or 4 months, and we decided, listen, there's no point. We have to get it done. The car had to be finished.
So that was pretty sad, not having the car ready in time for him to actually relive some of those memories.
It's in memory of him, and yeah, I mean, every time I drive it, it's like he's there with me. So. So there used to be an open road with open speed limits, and my father used to always, I remember, used to always overtake the cars and just absolutely, you know, put his foot into it.
I never imagined that he'd be that kind of
Oh,
driver.
he used to, you know, I mean, I can show you if you want. You know, he used to always put his foot into it, and I remember being a young kid and thinking, oh, you could hear the V8 roar and being in the back, and it was, you know, you'd look at the gauge and you'd be doing 140, 150.
Yeah.
You know, and you'd think, you know, one of us don't have a seatbelt on, but you didn't think of that at the time. I don't remember a lot growing up with Papu because I was a lot younger. I remember a few bits and pieces, like the trips to Palmerston and stuff like that. This was like the main car which your grandmother used to drive more often. He used to take us to school, he used to take us to wherever we needed to go, and she was the one that used to damage it, run into a few poles and stuff. And always Papa would get upset because he'd be like, brand new car, you know, you smashed it again. Yeah. I remember him always to be working, always to be 7 days a week. He was an electrician first, but I don't remember him as an electrician because I was very young. You know, obviously to support his family and to, you know, give us a good life.
Yeah.
So I mean, he never used the car obviously on the days off. He used to take it, but towards later on in life, I think I don't remember a lot of him driving us around, because then I got old, I got my license, and then I started driving it. You know, especially with you kids as well, I want to spend as much time together as possible, because life's too short. And I don't know, life's too short to drive a shit car. Just to add a bit of a comedy to it, but there's a lot of different clubs that have their own little shows. Some of the major ones are like Coffee and Cars, which is not really a car show, they're more of a get-together, but there could be hundreds of cars. Oh, look, we've tried to enter the car into as many shows as we can. We have actually probably one of the biggest shows coming up that the car it's basically like a debut of the Hot Rod Show in Perth. Look, having said that, we never built the car with the intentions of winning any trophies. We built the car for us. Look, I've made a lot of friends through car cruises. You meet a lot of people that are like-minded, and you know, it's just a day out.
I think that's the one thing I've inherited is I just love driving as well.
Oh, it's a bit like, I mean, like driving through this now, you know. I mean, we're not very far away, but you know, it's nice. I like the scenery. I enjoy driving, and you know, I've always said to you kids too, it's not about where you're going, it's about how you get there.